Listen to me, because I'm about to tell you something that can literally shift the trajectory of your life. If you're willing to receive it, if you're willing to not just hear these words, but let them work inside you, you can go from where you are right now to where you've always dreamed of being. But I'm warning you, this isn't for the casual listener. This is for the person who's tired of just surviving and ready to start thriving. You see, every single day you are planting seeds, seeds of action, seeds of thought, seeds of belief. And the fruit you're living in right now is the harvest of the seeds you've been planting for years. The good news, you can start planting different seeds toe-dy. And if you keep watering those seeds daily, your life will transform before your eyes. Every single result you are experiencing in your life today is nothing more than the harvest of seeds you planted in the past. That's not just an idea, it's a universal law. You don't need to believe it for it to be true. Just look around at your own life. The relationships you have, the health you enjoy, the money in your bank account, the peace in your heart, or the chaos in your mind, these are not accidents. They are fruits, and every fruit comes from a seed. The reason some people feel trapped is not because the soil of their life is broken, but because they keep planting the same seeds and expecting a different harvest. If you want to change your life, you must first change what you're planting. Here's the truth: you can't plant seeds of doubt and expect a harvest of confidence. You can't plant seeds of laziness and expect a harvest of success. You can't plant seeds of bitterness and expect a harvest of joy. Yet so many people live on autopilot, scattering negative seeds without realizing that one day those seeds will grow into weeds that choke out the life they desire. The power is in your hands. The soil of life is neutral. It will grow whatever you plant in it. The question is, what are you planting every single day? Every thought you think is a seed. Every word you speak is a seed. Every decision you make is a seed. Seeds are small, but their impact is massive. One conversation can plant hope or discouragement. One decision can plant success or failure. One habit can plant a life of abundance or a life of regret. That's why you must be intentional, deliberate about the seeds you choose. Because if you don't choose them with purpose, life will allow weeds to grow by default. Some of you are frustrated with your current reality because you think life is unfair. But if you trace your current situation back far enough, you'll see it began with something you thought, said, or did months or even years ago. The great news is that your future harvest is not fixed. Just because you planted weeds in the past doesn't mean you have to live in them forever. You can start planting new seeds today, and over time, the old harvest will be replaced with new fruit. Think about a farmer. If the farmer doesn't like the crop, he doesn't curse the soil or blame the weather. He changes the seed. He knows the soil will grow whatever he puts into it, so he invests in the right seed. Your mind, your habits, your daily actions, they are the soil. Stop complaining about what you're reaping and start focusing on what you're sowing. Most people wait for a better season before they start planting, but that's not how growth works. The best time to plant was yesterday, and the second best time is right now. If you want a better financial future, start planting seeds of wise money management today. If you want stronger relationships, start planting seeds of kindness, patience, and communication today. If you want better health, start planting seeds of discipline in your eating and exercise today. You can't wait for the conditions to be perfect. You must plant now so you can harvest later. And here's the hook. The harvest always comes bigger than the seed. One seed of corn can produce hundreds of kernels. One seed of generosity can produce a lifetime of blessings. One seed of discipline can produce a legacy of success for generations. But the same is true in reverse. One seed of neglect can produce a forest of regret. That's why today matters more than you think. You're not just living a random Tuesday, you're planning the future you're going to walk into. When you understand this, you start living differently. You stop wasting time on gossip because you don't want to plant seeds of drama. You stop feeding your mind with negativity because you don't want to plant seeds of fear. You start being generous because you know it plants seeds of abundance. You start acting in faith because you know it plants seeds of miracles. This is not just motivational talk. This is how the world actually works. Your life is your garden. It doesn't matter what was planted there before. What matters is what you start planting from this moment on. You can plant seeds of gratitude instead of complaint, seeds of action instead of procrastination, seeds of vision instead of doubt. The choice is yours, but the law of the harvest is unbreakable. You will reap what you sow, and you will reap it in greater measure than you sowed it. That's why, starting right now, you must decide to plant only what you want to see multiplied in your life. Because whether you plant or not, the seasons will come and the harvest will arrive. And when it does, it will either be the life you dreamed of or the life you settled for. When you wake up every morning, there is a war being fought in your mind, a war between who you are right now and who you're capable of becoming. And the truth is, most people lose this battle before their feet even hit the floor. Why? Because they haven't made the decision to own their day before the day owns them. Success doesn't start when you arrive at the office, or when you turn on your laptop, or when someone finally recognizes your talent. No. Success starts in that very first moment when you decide to control your thoughts, your energy, and your focus. If you wake up passive, you've already agreed to be average. But if you wake up intentional, you've already told the world, I'm coming for everything that's mine. You have to understand, success is never accidental. It's always engineered. And the blueprint begins in the mind. If your thoughts are scattered, your actions will be scattered. If your mind is weak, your habits will be weak. The people who rise to the top, the ones you admire and respect, didn't get there by waiting for motivation to knock on their door. They trained their mind to operate with precision, clarity, and discipline. They told themselves what to think instead of letting their environment decide for them. That's the real secret, mastering your mind before it masters you. Because every external victory is the result of an internal victory you won long before anyone saw it. I want you to realize something powerful. Your mind is like fertile soil, and every thought you plant is a seed. But here's the catch. The soil doesn't care what you plant. You can plant seeds of greatness or seeds of fear, seeds of action or seeds of procrastination. Either way, the soil will produce according to the seed you choose, and the harvest will be your life. Too many people complain about the fruit they're getting without taking responsibility for the seeds they've been planting. You say you want success, but your thoughts are drenched in doubt. You say you want freedom, but your focus is trapped in excuses. You cannot plant weeds and expect roses. Here's the hook. The difference between average people and high achievers is not talent. It's the discipline to dominate their thoughts. When you learn to catch a negative thought and replace it instantly with a positive, focused one, you take control of the steering wheel of your life. And let me tell you, the steering wheel of your life is too valuable to be handed over to circumstances, other people's opinions, or your past failures. You have to grip it tightly and decide exactly where you're going. If you don't Life will drive you to a place you never wanted to be, and you'll wake up years later wondering how you got there. You need to train your mind the way an athlete trains their body, daily, intentionally, and relentlessly. That means choosing your thoughts before they choose you. It means rehearsing your vision until it becomes your default thinking. It means guarding your mind from conversations, content, and people who drag you backward. And yes, it means learning to say no to the things that look good but don't align with where you're headed. Every yes you give to something that doesn't serve your purpose is a no to the life you want. And successful people understand that better than anyone. Now let me challenge you. What if you started every day with a 5-minute mental warm-up? I'm not talking about scrolling your phone or checking your email. I'm talking about feeding your mind with the thoughts and truths that empower you, declaring your goals out loud, visualizing your wins before they happen, flooding your mental soil with seeds of determination, faith, and unstoppable belief. You can't just hope your mind will think right. You have to direct it, instruct it, and lead it with purpose. Because if you don't lead your mind, it will follow the path of least resistance. And that path leads straight to mediocrity. The bottom line is this: your mind will either be your prison or your passport. And you get to decide which. If you can learn to win that battle in your head every single day, everything else in your life will align to match it. Control your thoughts, and you control your future. Neglect your thoughts, and you forfeit your potential. It's that serious. So from this moment forward, stop leaving your mindset to chance. Be the architect of it. Be the commander of it. Because the life you dream of is not waiting for someone who's casual about their thinking. It's waiting for someone who's obsessed with controlling it. And if you can do that, you'll step into a level of power and clarity most people never even taste. There's a reason most people never live the life they truly want. They've settled into a rhythm that keeps them comfortable, but never forces them to grow. And here's the thing: comfort is the silent killer of potential. You can't expect extraordinary results if you keep living an ordinary routine. The moment you wake up each morning, you're either moving toward your destiny or drifting further away from it. The choice is made not by your words, but by your actions, your priorities, and your mindset. You can talk about changing your life all you want, but until your habits change, nothing else will. Every single day, you're laying bricks for the house you'll live in tomorrow. So the question is, are you building a palace or a prison? Most people think change happens in giant leaps, a new job, a big move, a life-changing opportunity. But the truth is, real transformation happens in the smallest of choices repeated consistently. Think about it. Brushing your teeth once doesn't give you a perfect smile, but doing it every day does. The same is true for your mindset, your work ethic, your faith, and your habits. Small actions done consistently compound into greatness. But here's the catch. Those same small actions, if neglected or misdirected, compound into mediocrity and regret. That's why discipline is non-negotiable. If you want to change your life, you have to master the art of doing the right thing, even when it's not exciting, even when it's not convenient, and especially when no one is watching. Here's the hook. You're either training your brain to win or you're training it to lose. There's no neutral ground. Every day you decide to snooze the alarm, skip the workout, ignore the book, delay the project, you're reinforcing patterns that keep you stuck. And every day you wake up early, put in the work, keep your commitments, you're creating patterns that propel you forward. Your life is nothing more than the accumulation of your daily disciplines. That's why your standards matter, because your life will always rise or fall to the level of the standards you accept for yourself. If your standard is excellence, you will push beyond what's comfortable. If your standard is average, you will always find excuses. The real challenge is not starting, it's continuing. Motivation can get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going when the motivation fades. You won't feel like it every day. You won't always see results immediately. But here's what I want you to understand. Just because you can't see the seed sprouting yet doesn't mean it's not growing beneath the surface. Your effort is never wasted. Every rep in the gym, every page you read, every skill you practice, it's all stacking in your favor. The problem is most people quit before they see the breakthrough. They get impatient, they get distracted, and they start chasing quick wins instead of building lasting success. Don't fall for that trap. Be the person who keeps going when others stop. And yes, that means you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to embrace the grind, the boredom, the repetition. Winners don't rise to the level of their feelings. They rise to the level of their commitment. Your feelings will tell you to quit, to rest, to settle. But your future will thank you for ignoring those feelings and showing up anyway. If you only work when you feel like it, you'll never accomplish anything meaningful. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with days you didn't feel like doing it, but did it anyway. So here's the wake-up call. If you want to change your life, stop waiting for the perfect moment. It will never come. Start now with what you have where you are. Take that small step today, then another tomorrow, and another the day after. Before you know it, you'll look back and realize the life you once dreamed of is the life you're living. Not because of luck, not because of talent, but because you had the discipline to show up every single day and do the work. The difference between the life you have and the life you want isn't a mystery. It's a matter of choice, and the time to choose is right now. Most people underestimate the power of who they spend their time with, yet your environment is silently shaping your destiny every single day. You can have the best intentions, the biggest dreams, and the strongest work ethic, but if you're surrounded by people who drain your energy, kill your vision, and normalize mediocrity, you will eventually slow down to match their pace. Human beings are influence creatures. Whether we like it or not, we absorb the habits, the attitudes, and the mindset of the people we're around the most. If you want to grow, you can't afford to keep company that keeps you small. Here's the hook. Your future is a direct reflection of your inner circle. If you want to see where you'll be in 5 years, take a good look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you forward or pulling you back? Are they challenging you to aim higher or convincing you to settle for less? The hard truth is, not everyone in your life is meant to go with you to the next level. Some people are seasonal. They were perfect for a chapter in your life, but they're not built for the book you're trying to write now. And the longer you hold on to people who no longer align with your vision, the heavier your journey becomes. We often confuse loyalty with limitation. We think staying close to the same people we've always known means we're being faithful, but sometimes it means we're being fearful, afraid of stepping out into an environment where we might feel like the smallest, least experienced person in the room. But that's exactly where you should be. If you're always the smartest person in your circle is too small. Growth doesn't happen in spaces where you're constantly comfortable. It happens when you're surrounded by people who intimidate you a little, inspire you a lot, and make you question if you're really doing enough. The truth is, success leaves clues, and those clues are often hidden in conversations you've never had because you've never been around the people who could have them. When you position yourself around high achievers, visionaries, and disciplined individuals, you start to think differently. You start to see possibilities you didn't even know existed. You begin to realize that what you thought was impossible is just another person's Tuesday afternoon. That kind of exposure changes you. It raises your standards without you even realizing it. You begin to measure yourself against a new normal, and that normal is excellence. But here's where most people fail. They wait for the right people to magically appear in their lives. That's not how it works. You have to be intentional. You have to seek out mentors, join communities, attend events, read books from minds greater than yours, and put yourself in places that stretch you. You can't grow in isolation, and you can't grow in the wrong crowd. If your circle isn't pushing you forward, you need to have the courage to step into a new one. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it can be lonely at first. But remember, there's a difference between being alone and being in the wrong company. One can hurt for a season, the other can cost you your future. And make no mistake, this isn't just about cutting out toxic people. It's also about making sure you're the kind of person others want in their circle. You can't just take value, you have to bring it. If you want to be around winners, you have to think, act, and live like one. That means showing up on time, keeping your word, taking responsibility, and constantly investing in your own growth. The better you become, the better the rooms you'll be invited into. The better the rooms, the bigger the opportunities. And the bigger the opportunities, the faster you move toward your destiny. So you have to decide, do you want to fit in or do you want to level up? Because you can't have both. Comfort will give you company, but it won't give you growth. The people who change their lives understand that proximity is power. They place themselves close to those who make them think bigger, move faster, and aim higher. Every conversation becomes a seed. Every interaction a lesson, every connection a bridge to where they're going. And in time, the very circle that once inspired you becomes the circle you inspire. That's the power of being intentional with who you allow into your life. And it's one of the fastest ways to transform it. Opportunities rarely show up with a clear label saying, "This is your big break." More often, they arrive disguised as small chances, brief encounters, or challenges that test your limits. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck isn't luck. It's the ability to recognize and act on those moments before they pass. Every day, life presents you with windows of possibility, but those windows don't stay open forever. If you hesitate too long, they close, and someone else steps through. That's the reality most people ignore until it's too late. Here's the hook. You are always one decision away from a completely different life. That one decision could be the conversation you initiate, the application you submit, the event you attend, or the risk you take even when you're not ready. But you'll never know if it could have changed everything unless you move. Far too many people get caught in the trap of overthinking, waiting for the perfect timing, or convincing themselves they need more preparation. In truth, perfection is an illusion, and the right time almost never comes. Opportunities are seized in the moment, not when you've convinced yourself you're 100% ready. Think about the people you admire, the leaders, the innovators, the ones who seem to be in the right place at the right time. It's not coincidence. They've trained themselves to move quickly when something feels aligned with their goals. They understand that hesitation breeds regret and action breeds momentum. They don't let fear of failure dictate their moves because they know failure isn't the end. It's often the beginning of the lesson that leads to success. In contrast, those who let fear freeze them often find themselves watching others live the life they once dreamed of, wondering what might have happened if they'd just taken that first step. Recognizing opportunity is both a mindset and a skill. You have to be alert, curious, and willing to see beyond the obvious. Sometimes the opportunity isn't wrapped in the glamorous package you expect. It might come as a small project no one else wants, an invitation to a networking event you think is beneath you, or a task that feels inconvenient. But hidden within that small moment could be a connection, a skill, or an experience that becomes the stepping stone to something far greater. The world's most successful people didn't wait for the perfect door to open. They walked through the doors available and made them lead to better ones. Acting on opportunity requires courage, and courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you move forward despite the fear. The human mind is wired to protect you from uncertainty, so it will try to convince you to stay safe, to wait, to gather more information. But the truth is, every second you spend debating is a second someone else is taking action. And in a world that moves this fast, speed matters. You don't have to have it all figured out to take the first step. You just have to trust that you'll figure it out along the way. Action builds clarity, and clarity builds confidence. Opportunities often come disguised as work. They're not always glamorous in the beginning. You might have to show up early, stay late, or take on responsibilities no one else wants. But if you approach those moments with excellence, people notice. And when people notice, they remember. Doors start to open not just because of your skills, but because of your reputation for showing up fully when others only give half effort. That's how one small opportunity leads to another, and before you know it, you've built a chain of progress that others call luck, but is just relentless readiness. One of the most overlooked aspects of seizing opportunity is positioning. You can't catch the ball if you're not on the field. That means putting yourself in rooms where the right conversations are happening, seeking out environments where opportunity flows, and staying connected to people who can open doors you can't open alone. Too many people wait at home for life to knock. They forget that sometimes you have to go out and knock first. You have to make yourself visible, valuable, and ready so that when a chance does appear, you're already in place to take it. The truth is, opportunities are everywhere, but they don't wait forever. If you're not prepared to move, they'll pass by quietly, and you won't even realize what you missed until years later. Every moment holds the potential to be the start of something incredible, but only if you're willing to see it and act on it before it slips away. And that's the secret. The most successful people aren't luckier than you. They're just faster at recognizing when it's time to leap, and they leap without looking back. Success is never the result of one big action. It's the accumulation of consistent, intentional steps taken day after day, even when the excitement fades and the results aren't immediate. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's easy to start with motivation, but motivation is temporary. It rises and falls with your emotions. Discipline, on the other hand, is the engine that keeps you moving when the thrill is gone, when no one is watching, and when quitting seems like the easier choice. The truth is, you will never feel like doing the hard work every day, but those who push through the resistance are the ones who ultimately win. Here's the hook. Your future is being built in the moments no one applauds you for. It's in the early mornings when you get up before the world does, in the late nights when you're still refining your craft, while others are relaxing and in the countless repetitions of work that seem invisible to everyone else. People see the end result and call it talent. But what they're really seeing is years of discipline disguised as effortless success. Without discipline, even the greatest potential fades into nothing more than what could have been. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about showing up regardless of how you feel. The most dangerous habit you can develop is waiting until you feel ready to take action. Feelings are unreliable. They change with your mood, your energy, and your circumstances. But discipline doesn't care if you're tired, stressed, or unmotivated. It's the internal agreement you make with yourself to honor your commitments even when they're inconvenient. It's what keeps you on track when distractions tempt you, when progress feels slow, and when it seems like no one is noticing your efforts. Think of discipline as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you choose to follow through instead of making excuses, you're training yourself to take control of your life. And just like building physical strength, the beginning is often the hardest. You might feel sore, mentally drained, or tempted to skip a day. But each time you push past that resistance, you reinforce the habit that will carry you forward. Over time, your discipline becomes automatic. It stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a part of who you are. Discipline is also about protecting your time and energy from things that don't serve your goals. This means saying no more often than you say yes, cutting out habits that waste hours of your day, and surrounding yourself with people who push you higher instead of pulling you down. Every yes to distraction is a no to progress. And here's the truth. Most people aren't lacking opportunities. They're just too distracted to take advantage of them. Discipline gives you the focus to prioritize what matters most so you can turn potential into reality. One of the biggest misconceptions about discipline is that it's restrictive. In reality, discipline is freedom. When you are disciplined, you have the freedom to achieve your goals without being a slave to impulse. You have the freedom to control your future instead of letting circumstances control you. It allows you to wake up every day knowing exactly what needs to be done and to trust yourself to do it. Without discipline, you're constantly at the mercy of your own moods. And that's a dangerous place to be if you want lasting success. It's also important to understand that discipline doesn't mean you never make mistakes or fall off track. You will. Everyone does. The difference is disciplined people don't let a bad day turn into a bad week, and they don't let one setback derail their entire journey. They get back up faster, they course correct quicker, and they keep moving forward without dwelling on what went wrong. They understand that consistency over time beats intensity for a short burst. Even small, steady actions compound into extraordinary results if you stick with them long enough. The hook you need to remember is this: your habits today are shaping your tomorrow, whether you like it or not. Discipline ensures that those habits are building the life you want instead of the one you'll regret. It's not glamorous, and it's rarely exciting, but it's the one skill that guarantees progress. You might not see results immediately, and that's where most people give up. But if you can commit to the process, trust the work you're putting in, and keep showing up, you'll look back one day and realize that discipline didn't just help you reach your goals. It transformed you into the kind of person who can handle even bigger ones. So I'm challenging you right now, don't just let this be another speech you listen to and forget. Listen to it every day until the principles sink into your spirit so deep that they become second nature. Reprogram your mind, rewire your habits, redefine your standards, and watch your life elevate beyond what you thought was possible. Because when you commit to listening and acting every day, your change won't just be possible, it will be inevitable.